Hello, sweet friend. My name is Micah, and in this video, I would like to share with you my March pages in my Hobonichi A6 daily journals. I hope that you'll find some inspiration here or get some ideas of what you could include in your journaling, or at the very least, this is something relaxing to watch or listen to while you journal. So on this introductory page for March, I have set an intention for the month. I've been playing around with that, and I really like how it sort of sets the tone for the month and makes me think about what I want to maybe accomplish or change for the month or pay attention to for the month. So I've found that really helpful. And then I decorated with some stickers, which is obviously always really nice. And then on the first of every month, I release a printable collection for Cat Collage Club. And so I like to include a photo of the collection and a little description, just as a reminder for myself of what I have been working on the previous month. So that's really lovely. On the second, as you can see, it was not a lovely day. It was quite a frustrating day, actually. My husband and I just got some frustrating updates regarding how Delta lost some of our luggage at the beginning of the year, or end of last year, actually. However, I really like how this page turned out visually. I think it looks quite lovely, the combination of elements, and it was very soothing to put this watercolor background on the page. And so I guess this is an example of how a day can be frustrating, but you can still be creative and find some comfort or peace in your journal. And then I also really love how it goes together with this next page here on the third. I actually had a lovely day, so we're going from a nope day to a lovely day. In the morning, I had made myself some croissants from Trader Joe's from the frozen section, and they turned out so good. They were flaky and buttery, and of course, because I made them at home, they were warm when I ate them. So that was quite wonderful. And I've been trying to get back into a photography habit. And so I took a photo of them, even though that's not, I guess that's not high art to photograph these croissants. But yeah, it's just a habit building exercise. So yeah. And then here I did something similar in terms of the watercolor background, but then I turned it into a heading, and I quite like how that mirrors this watercolor background here. And so I really enjoy these opportunities when you can make the double page spread match, although obviously that doesn't always happen because it just depends on what happened that day and those sorts of things. But if the opportunity arises, I like to make the double page spread match. On the 4th, I went on a hike. My husband and I went to our favorite nature preserve, and so this is me hiking, and the trees are getting their first leaves, and then I met quite a few squirrels. Actually, I didn't meet them, I scared them. Oftentimes it's so quiet in that nature preserve, and so they're just sitting around, and then if you all of a sudden come on the path hiking, then they get a little scared. But yeah, that was a really lovely day. On this day I had quite a bit of writing, but still was able to fit some collaging in, which is so cute. I love these Dodo Lulu stickers. I think her illustrations are so whimsical. They're one of my favorites. And speaking of getting back into a photography habit or into the nitty-gritty of photographing, I wrote out the definition of aperture, and I think it's a wonderful idea if you have sort of a lot of text to journal about, to just find some note papers so that you can still bring some color and textures into your journal page. And I think this turned out quite cute with the cat with her camera there. And so yeah, this was another frustrating day, I must say. So that's why I used this Dodo Lulu sticker of this girl sort of falling. Yeah. Again, you can have some fun with even the frustrating days in your journal. And then here we have just a page of gratitude for our car. I was going out to shop groceries, and for some reason, while I was sitting at this traffic light, I all of a sudden was very grateful for our car. It's so reliable, and one of my, I think, greatest fear is having some sort of accident or get stranded somewhere because something broke, and then I have to like pull this car onto the side of the road and deal with that. But luckily that has never happened, and so yeah, I think I was just very grateful. I don't know if I saw an accident or something that came into my head. I don't know. I'm not sure, but here we have a page of gratitude for our car. Here, this day, I started working on the next collection of collage sheets, and I had gotten quite a few requests, which I love. I love working on things that I know people are looking forward to and would love using in their journals, and so I thought it would be nice to write out the requests I had gotten. I think memory keeping about things you work on is quite lovely. And to me, it serves as a great reminder of, yeah, just what happened in that month, what I was thinking about, and those kinds of things. On March 10th, the Sunday, I went to a lovely craft fair with my mother-in-law, and this was from one of the artists there. This was my favorite booth at that craft fair. She made these beautiful, whimsical animals out of felt, and she dressed them so beautifully, and she made all of that herself, the clothing and obviously the animals. And because they have a wire armature under their felt, they are posable, and so she set up these little scenes, and that is just something I could look at all day. I mean, you have me at animal characters dressed in human clothing, but then if you also set up these whimsical displays, man, so gorgeous. Of course, with something so delicate and handmade, the prices are pretty high, which is totally understandable, but a little bit out of my comfort zone. But yeah, beautiful work. And the lady of the booth, her name is Heirloom Croft with an O, Croft Art. She unfortunately doesn't have a did she have a website? I'm not sure. She definitely has a Facebook page if you want to check out her work. She was a lovely lady, had a wonderful time talking to her, and I got to talk to her about how I love dolls and dressing dolls, and how my grandmother once came into my childhood bedroom and she saw that some of my dolls were in a state of undress. And so she sat down with me and we dressed all of my dolls, and ever since that day, I was always very particular about dressing my dolls. All of them were always dressed according to season, and so when the seasons would change, I would also go through, and even the dolls that I didn't play with all that much would get an outfit change. And so, yeah, we just got to talking about dolls and dressing and clothing and things like that. But yeah, I would love to have a cat felt doll. So that was just, yeah, very, very wonderful experience. And then here I did a little doodle of me and my imaginary cat friend taking a walk, because all of the flowers were popping up around the neighborhood, and it was just so good to see all the color coming back into the yards and gardens. So that's that. This page, I had some ideas for a reference and inspiration binder, almost like an analog Pinterest. I was thinking about purchasing a ring binder and setting something up where I could keep color palettes and swatches of markers that I own, or project ideas and project logs, as well as keeping inspirational quotes and images or journaling prompts that I would like to have on hand and reference from time to time. So far I haven't set that up yet, but at least it's here on paper, and so whenever I want to get going on this project, I have this as a reference here. This page is actually a Journal With Me video, so if you want to see me put this together, I'll have that video linked. I had bought myself a blind box and got this gorgeous, cute little girly here with her cloud head, and I think she's so cute. She's actually right over there on my desk because I love looking at her. She brings me so much joy. She's just so cute, and she reminds me to keep my head in the clouds every now and again. So yeah, really, really sweet. Oh, and then this page, I had actually created this collage in a different journal, and then I decided to not keep going in this journal, but I didn't want to miss out on this picture here and the memory of us taking a walk and a selfie, and so I scanned in this page and printed it out on really thin sticker paper. I don't know if I would recommend using transparent sticker paper for something like that, even though obviously I did it because I was very aware of how much bulk that would add, it being so big. But yeah, you lose some of the definition, of course, with transparent paper like that. But yeah, at least I have it here, and it's still, I think, legible enough. It still serves as a reminder, even though it's not quite perfect, but that's okay. Here I just wrote out a quote from a newsletter. I really enjoy the newsletter by James Clear. I think he often has some very good points on productivity, healthy productivity, setting goals, those kinds of things. And so here I wrote out his thoughts on how he splits problems into two groups, muddy puddles and leaky ceilings. And so I wrote that out because I thought that was really helpful. So far, I am not keeping a commonplace book, and so things like that, quotes that I come across, I just write out in my daily journal, especially on those days where not a lot of things happened, because it's still part of my overall experience, I guess, things that I find interesting, topics I research. So yeah. Yeah, another really simple yet cute page, I would say. I was recently interviewed by a website called CanvasRebel. If you're interested in reading this interview, I'll have that linked below as well. And so, yeah, it just went live on that day on their website, and so I reflected on what that interview meant to me, and I even quoted myself. I don't know, maybe that's a little full of myself, but just as a reminder of what the general gist of the interview was, I included that here. On this day, I got quite a few books from the library, so I just made a little list of library books that I got that day. Most of these, if not all of these, are actually young adult or even younger. I don't know if they count as children's books, but I don't mind. I love reading those. So we got the Wild Robot by Peter Brown, which I am curious about because, was it DreamWorks? I think DreamWorks is coming out with an animated movie based on this book later this year, so really curious about that. And then I've been reading through the Katie DiCamillo books because I never have, and I love her writing, so doing that. And then this comic is actually for adults. It's by the creator Jason, called Upside Dawn, and then we just have another Snoopy collection. So yeah, just a really, really simple page. And then here I used one of the prompts that I have included in the April collage sheet collection. This prompt is what's good right now, and so I just wrote out my answers to that and did some collaging. Again, really sweet page. Took me maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes, if that, to put together. That's why I've started to create these prompts just for days when not a lot of things happen, but you still want to create something meaningful in your journal. So that's this right here. And then here we have a page finally with a couple more doodles. I didn't doodle very much this month. I think I was just very busy, and so stickers are just a little bit faster sometimes. And so I got some new bras, and we got a new shower curtain. Finally, we've been wanting to pick out a more interesting shower curtain for a while. We've been defaulting to something that's very simple and easy to get your hands on. But we've been going through a list of home projects, home improvement projects, and so we finally got ourselves a new shower curtain. I tried drawing out the pattern, and even though it's a simple pattern, my brain just couldn't figure it out how to draw that, especially on a small scale, and so at some point I stopped. I mean, this is not even representative of what the actual pattern is, but I think it'll be enough of a trigger to my memory, so I'm fine with that. Oh, and then I want to make a quick note about the ink. So this is one of the Kobe inks that I bought, was it last month? I think so. I think I actually have. Hold on, I can tell you exactly. Yeah, it's the Kobe 64. And if you have seen that video about me getting those ink samples, the Kobe inks are very dry in my experience. And so I finally got myself some white lightning from Vaness, which is just an additive to make dry inks a little bit more fluid. And so I added that to the sample, and I think the concentration is just a little bit off because of the limited amount of a sample. And so if you can tell, this is the same ink, but it looks quite a lot darker on this page, which I think has something to do with the white lightning that I added. But it'll shift too. Like, it's not like it used to write like this and now it writes like this. It's very interesting. I'm not sure. But then it's not the fault of the white lightning. It's just that I don't have enough ink, I guess, to get it to the right concentration. Anywho, here you see I used it again. I think it's such a lovely green. It just goes really well with a lot of colors. So I've been using it a lot. Yeah, I quite like it. Do you use colored inks in your journals? I think there's also something really neat about having just one color all throughout. It just ties all the pages together and make them look really cohesive as the book. So yeah, that's lovely too. Yeah, and then we are finally in spring. This is spring start, I think. And so I actually got myself some flower seeds to mark the occasion. I have this little patch in the front of our house that I think would be great to have some flowers growing on, and so I actually still need to sow them. Sow them? Is that the right word? I think it is. And then here, another page about an idea for a journal, because I want to set up a cooking journal, and so I just wrote out the idea and what I think I want to accomplish with that book, just again as a reminder to myself. So that's that. And then on this Friday, I went grocery shopping and was very happy to have found quite a few German chocolates, Easter chocolates, like bunnies and chocolate eggs, and I miss German chocolate so much. I'm sorry, Americans, but German chocolate is a little bit better, tastes a little bit more delicious, if I may say so. And so often Aldi will have imported chocolate, and so I was very, very happy to have found that. Another thing that I had found was this soda Olipop. Have you ever tried that? It was my first time buying any of these. They're usually quite expensive, I would say, but they were on sale, and so I was like, well, let's give them a go. I was just really intrigued by some of the flavor combinations. They also claim to be really gut-friendly and all this kind of stuff, like really healthy, but I wasn't buying them for that. I was just buying them for the flavor, and I really enjoyed this one. This one was cherry vanilla. I quite liked that. Something that my journal has helped me realize lately is that I really like to treat myself with flavored drinks. I used to think that if I had to choose between, say, a piece of chocolate and a drink, that I would always choose the chocolate or the pastry or whatever it is. But yeah, there's something really joyful about sipping on something that tastes good. So yeah, just one of those random insights that a journal may give you. And then on this day, I finally finished reading the book Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is a chunker. I mean, you know, I think it's 800 pages, if a little bit over 800, I think. One of the biggest books or thickest books that I've read in a while. And last year I read her book Piranesi, and it was one of my favorites of that year. And I don't think this comes close to my enjoyment of Piranesi. I did quite like it, but, well, anyway, I don't want to turn this into a whole book review, but I have thoughts. Let me know if you've read the book, and if you like, we can chat about what you thought about it. But yeah, so I just wrote some quick notes about it here. And then something that stood out to me on this day was how I turned my mood around with listening to a cassette. So I got this cassette player last year for my birthday from my husband. And from our recent trip, I was able to bring back some childhood cassettes from Germany. I have all these audio cassettes with Disney stories. So in Germany, they have taken basically the audio of the movies, and then they have a narrator pitch in and or fill the gaps between what the actual movie audio is, to sort of help with the continuity of it. I hope I'm explaining this at all intelligibly. But I used to listen to these every night to fall asleep to, and I still can more or less recite all of this by heart. And so it's just really wonderful to be finally able to listen to these again. And so yeah, I was having a little bit of a funky mood, and that really helped me get into a better mood. So that was really nice. So that's that there. On this page, I actually was inspired by the quote again. I've done that at least one other time in this book. So this quote was about how objects can hold memories, and so I just reflected on that a little bit here. And then here we have another page where I used one of the prompts that I created for April. Obviously, I tested them already out in March. And so this one is activities that calm my mind. And so wrote those out there. And on this day, I had finally finished the art for the April collection. And so I included this piece here from the collection. Really sweet. Again, just a really simple page there. This is another quote from an article that I read from the website called Aeon, like AEON.com, about this sociologist, if I'm saying this correctly. And strange enough, I had read that article in the morning, and then at dinner, my husband and I were talking about something related, and so that just, yeah, was really interesting how something that I had read about earlier was really on point with something that we discussed at dinner. And then on the 30th, I released a new YouTube video about looking for a companion journal to my Hobonichi A6. And so I just included the thumbnail here and wrote about the video a little bit. Again, it's just one of these things I'd like to include certain reminders of what I had worked on and what I thought about that work in my journal, because as a self-employed artist, that's really quite significant for me in terms of how I relate to my work, and so I like to yeah, like to include that here and there. March 31st obviously was Easter, so we have these colorful eggs with these cute little kittens holding on to them, and then just some reflections about our day, which was just very, very quiet. And then we are already in April. So that was it. And if you remember from last year, I used to do these daily doodles in my monthlies, and I was doing so good with that last year, and it looks so cute when the whole month is filled out. I must honestly say I am struggling this year. So this was March. I only did 4 days, and then I fell off. And I have nothing in February, and just a few in January, which has partly to do with me only getting this journal by the end of January, so I didn't have it for the full January. But yeah, not going great, but I am starting again to see if I can make it work in April. I'm just trying to not get myself defeated or feel like I have to just quit because I don't have the previous months all filled out. I'd rather try and see if I can make it stick. And then if I get April through the end of the year, that's still quite a lot of months filled out. So yeah, I guess I want to encourage you, if there's blank pages or you've missed quite a bit in your journal, don't let that turn into you not journaling at all. You can always pick it back up and try again. On that note, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I hope you found something inspiring or a new idea of what to include in your journal. And yeah, until next time, happy journaling!